Still on Amcon, it's injected about 375 billion naira into Arik Airlines in order to recover its huge debts and also establish another carrier, Nigerian Eagle, which is in the future would run alongside with Arik Air. Amcon stated that it sustained Arik Air operations since it took over in 2017 in order to stabilize the aviation industry and save jobs. It added that after recovery of its debts, it might sell Nigerian Eagle to private investors or through the stock exchange if the government does not take it over. Arise business analyst Chika Mbono joins us now to discuss these headlines further. Chika, you're very welcome.
How are you? How are you today?
Fine, thank you, sir. I guess the
World Bank.
Yes, the World Bank forecast. What do you make of it?
The first thing that I will tell you is that on this journey, on this COVID journey, there's nobody knows the direction or how it's going to end.
Yes,
we are all projecting. Even start from Nigeria. Remember, our GDP was projected to be negative by Q4 2020, and then even going into recession in 2021.
Yes.
We still exited that. So it's not surprising that as things evolve, as situations change, the World Bank will change the projections for sub-Saharan Africa. But it's not just based on nothing. It's, as you said, the fact that the spread has not been as it is. Mortality rate has been lower. The second wave, even though it happened, didn't happen as it should have happened. Commodity prices have recovered substantially. And agricultural output also for a lot of African countries has held. Look at Nigeria. That was part of what helped also from our recession. So Nigeria is a major component of the Sub-Saharan Africa economy.
Massive.
Massive. So if we exit, if a positive 0.11 in Q4, which means by God's grace, Q1 2021, we're going to be positive, in maybe lower single digits. I have a feeling that will have a bigger an impact on the Sub-Saharan Africa growth, and therefore reflects the projection of World Bank. So it's not surprising.
Not surprising.
A lot of positives have happened. Vaccines have come in also. Inoculations are increasing, and the confidence that comes from that inoculation also is permitting the system. And other people are able to step out and do some of the things that hitherto they couldn't do. Social events are happening. Also, hotels and bookings are increasing. Airlines are increasing their load factors. So all those will impact the economy, and so that reflects the projection of World Bank.
They've said something you said on the show as well. They said that the continued growth is dependent on reforms, and so
it's very important.
Yeah.
You see, the beautiful thing about this COVID thing is it brought the whole countries to the fore at the same time. Unlike before, where we go and beg some countries to reform, the issue now is that it's reform or die.
Right.
Especially for the health sector. Countries have been paying lip service to the health sector. We are forced to invest in the health sector. And look at Nigeria, from maybe one or two centers before, we have about almost 120 centers now that can treat things like COVID. So, yes, for it to be sustained, COVID should not exist if by this year, and then everything just goes to business as usual.
Thank you for that, Chika. Okay, I want to get to Amcon and the payments back to the central bank, 2 trillion.
Okay, Amcon, after the 2009 financial crisis, stock market in Nigeria tanked, lost about 8% of the value. The banking system was very illiquid. Now, what happens is that when banks are illiquid, they're not able to lend, and the whole economy stagnates, because banks are a very important aspect of the economy. There's no liquidity in the system. So what happened now was a bad bank was created to take off those assets from the books of banks. I think about more than 20,000 eligible loans they were taken over at that time. The first objective of Amcon was to take over those NPL, non-performing loans, which in the banking system that time was almost about 40%. And provide liquidity in return to the banks for them to start lending again, and the economy, the retail economy will start kicking. They have succeeded in doing. Now, taking those loans into their books, work them. First objective, to recover them for those debtors who are good ones. So they made some recoveries.
Yes.
There are some eligible assets that have also restructured. But you see, what happens is that we know that after, when you do those kind of things, the sticker ones are the problems. So you have the second phase of their mandate now,
yes,
which is a restructuring of those sticky loans.
Yes.
And that's the major part of the work they're doing. And so it was funded from National Treasury, from Central Bank of Nigeria, issuing bills to them. And they have paid about 2 trillion of that. But the major ones are still there.
Still out there.
Still there. About 80% of the loans, 80% of the loans contribute to more than, about 350 of the loans contribute about 80% of the loans. The small ones are just there, but the major ones are the big boys who are still owing.
Did the economic situation, COVID and everything, make it more complicated in trying to recover some of these?
Complicated. But the other thing that happened was that, I teach lending in the financial banking system, and I see in Nigeria, and indeed Africa, what I call the African big man, who borrows from the banks and never wants to pay.
Right. And
that's basically what things we have seen through with the Amcon loans. A lot of people have borrowed money, living big, having private jets, several of them, some have, but are not paying by the loans. Now, what has happened also was that some of these assets, loans they used to finance assets, which are the different names. One thing the Amcon Act did for Amcon was to get them the power of tracing.
Okay.
And that power of tracing, if you have been following the press for recently, you would have seen Amcon have been, seizing a lot of assets.
Yes.
Because they used that power of tracing to trace the assets of all those who are involved in those companies, whether the directors or whether the managers, to recover the loans given out. And that has led them to this increased success they're having now.
So technology, I guess, you're saying technology has played a role in this.
And the Amcon Act that was reviewed and signed by the president has helped them in this new second phase of their recoveries.
Great. Still on Amcon, the airlines, Arik, and then I want to get your thoughts on it because I have questions. A lot of viewers have questions about this decision.
Aviation
is
a glamour business.
Interesting comment there, Chika. Okay.
Glamour business. Because you see the fine airlines and everything. And so you think that fine thing, is symptomatic of represents money. Therefore it's profitable.
Okay.
But aviation is not that profitable.
Thin margins.
Very thin margins.
Yes.
That's why you have something like Ryanair or EasyJet. Between London and Paris, they will do about maybe 30 flights in a day. Because the more number of passengers you carry, maybe the margins are about 3 or 4 pounds per passenger. And you make more money. And so people ask me a lot, why do Nigerian airlines fail a lot? Now, the airlines do not fail for one reason. But I'm going to come down to the Arik issue. Okay. There are several reasons. But one of the reasons airlines fail in Nigeria is the lack of understanding of aviation economies. The aviation economist talks about the fact that the primary revenues you get is from selling tickets. And every typical aircraft you have will go through what they call A check, B check, C check, and D check. Right. And this has happened down the line, maybe over a 4-year period. Maybe that's when you do your D check. D check is the most exhaustive one. He interviewed the MD of AirPeace. He was here, yes. He's about $3 million. He mentioned $3 million when the aircraft goes from a D check. Right. So you can imagine when the aircraft goes for a D check, you must have $3 million in place to bring it back.
That is expensive.
Now, let's look at what the problem is. Yeah. So it means the ticket you sell today, you must put out revenues in reserve every day for the next 4 years. That by the time the plane is due for the D check, that requires $3 million, you go to that reserve and use it.
The cost.
And use it. But what we see a lot is, as the ticket is sold today, people just consume it. And no reserves are set in place to be used to service the planes down the line. So aviation economy is a very disciplined economy. So you see the cash flows coming in, but not for consumption today. Right. That for future cash flows, you set up reserves for spare parts, repairs, maintenance, crew, hotel accommodation, and so on and so forth. And that's the problem. So on the case you have now, you have Nigerian Arik. Arik ran into problems. Yes. Along the issue of the Amcon taking over, among the assets Amcon took over, just to discuss some minutes ago. Right. So one of the companies took over. Let's forget about why he ran into problems. But he had problems. He couldn't pay his loans to the banks. Yes. Amcon took it over, and the banks sold the assets to Amcon. Now Amcon took it over to manage. So Amcon has been managing the airline. Yes. Now, the issue is also Arik, apart from owing the banks that Amcon took over, are owing some aggressive foreign creditors. Okay. A lot of foreign creditors who are in position to seize Arik assets. So This is me interpreting it now.
Of course.
This is what I know.
Of course.
To see the Arik assets. So Amcon, being a privileged mortgager, is in position to isolate the assets.
Okay.
In this case now, what? Aircraft.
Yes.
And move them into a company called what?
NG
Eagle.
Interesting.
For protection.
Ah, okay. Okay, because people are asking why...
For protection.
Okay, okay. I see.
For protection. So the aircraft will be there with the NG Eagle for protection. NG Eagle, they are processing their AOC, their license with NCAA to fly. Ultimately to be a private airline and to be sold off. You know, Amcon is not interested in running an airline.
Right.
They're interested in selling and recovering.
Gotcha.
But they can't just sell aircraft anyhow. So put it that. This is my understanding. This is my understanding of it. I'm a forensic accountant, so I know that's what's happening.
Right, right.
So that's the thing. So they're not at the set of airline. They're not a new aircraft that are brought in for Nigerian Eagle.
Okay.
It's a translation of the existing aircraft of Arik to Nigerian Eagle.
Clear. It's clear. Thank you for that. Thank you for the explanation. Chika, there was some reports that this Easter holiday, prices might go up because there are not enough planes because of this maintenance C-checks that you were talking about. This Easter holiday.
No, it's already up.
Yeah.
Because, so look at APs, for example. APs used to have 27 aircraft. A frequency like to Port Harcourt, they used to have about maybe 5 frequencies in a day. Or maybe another 5. But in Port Harcourt, they just have 1 frequency. Because the aircraft that went for C&D check
are not back yet.
Are not back yet. And now, and that's something all the airlines are struggling. You know, the same thing. And so people want to fly, aviation economics again, demand and supply.
Right.
So tickets have to rise.
Speaking of which, Chika, do you think tickets in Nigeria are appropriately priced? There's been a debate that they should possibly be higher based on the taxes that they pay, the C-checks, the maintenance, the done overseas. You think...
It's a question for another day. No, but I can say this, that the traveling net, for me, the bigger issue is...
Yes.
It's only about the same 5% of people are traveling.
Right.
So that net has to be expanded to about 15-20% for the aviation business in Nigeria to be profitable. The issue is, what do we do to make it profitable? See, to talk about the aviation, we're going to talk about spending the whole day because a lot of them are using the wrong equipment, the wrong aircraft.
Right.
These flights are 45 minutes, hop and just land.
So some of the aircraft are...
Yeah. So something like to Owerri, you can, or to Abuja, you're supposed to have 50 passengers every 1 hour. You go down there, break even, maybe 30 passengers. You know, so there's a lot to be done. Expand the traveling net. Let people, a lot of people who use road, come into the air because the journeys are short. Make sure that the concerns of, like, when you land in Port Harcourt Airport, Abuja, how do you go into town is sorted out. And revenues will come in. In addition to all the issues you talked about. You heard the AP's MD talk about the fact that Honorable Seneca has been assisting them.
Yes.
But there's still more to be done for the industry.
As always, fantastic analysis. Always enjoy having you on the show. Arise business analyst Chika Mbona. Chika, thank you so much for your insight.
Thanks a lot.